Or I can just eat raw cookie dough because it's more delicious.
Hey!
I never really got the whole raw cookie dough thing.
I haven't done much of that either, honestly.
Do you want a recipe? I'll give you a good recipe and you can put it together and you'll sit there and fucking nom on that shit all night.
You know what, Scott? I do want a recipe. I'll take that.
Okay.
Welcome to
And
Jarviskjir
I'll give you a better one.
She will give you a better one. Or
That's
not,
also
because I've been using my recipe for longer than she's been alive.
I've also fixed your recipe.
Yeah, but Erin's
Yeah,
like...
you have. Yes, she has. Yes, she has. So my recipe is the same, but my methodology has been seriously repaired. Like she took my cookies from like a B- C+ to like fucking gold. So nope, she's
I basically
right.
just said you're doing it wrong.
God.
And she was very right.
Are you in Peaky Blinders now, or is this just like the fashion?
I don't know. I don't think he knows what that is.
No, it doesn't. That's alright.
Are
I
you
just
talking
call
to
it.
me? Oh, my hair is all over the place. Here, look.
Oh no, I
was
saw it.
crazy,
Yeah. I saw it.
Oh, now it's normal. You fixed it.
It's like a magic trick.
So, welcome to Jarviskjir Sidequests, the D&D stream. Have you noticed?
Wouldn't have guessed.
I ended the last
Loading
stream
120.
on a super cliffhanger. I just realized I may actually have the name of the stream wrong, so I'm going to look that up while I'm doing that.
Hold a Scott.
It's only slightly wrong, I think. But we ended the last stream on a super cliffhanger, and now Dean is off, seeing his family or something, like, ugh. And was just like,
I
Ollie,
made up
please,
something
I don't want to
factual
do the meeting with Caitlin without me. And I was like, your wish will be granted.
Even though I told you like 3 weeks ago that I'm not going to be here next week, or at least only for part of it next week because my wife's Christmas party.
Gilwyn is more important for that, Sid.
Huh?
Gilwyn is more important for that.
Yeah, so you're saying Dean is more important than me. I get it. That's cool. Whatever. I'll remember that.
It's a fair cop. Actually, how it went down is Dean told Ollie that. Ollie instantly hung up on him. Got his head shaved, had a shave, totally bald. Went to the barber, said, I need a fake tan. Got a full body fake tan, got some piercings, chained up, got himself oiled up, went up there, went and stood there and then stared at Dean. Bearing in mind he's shorter than Dean, he should be taller. Stared at Dean and said, I'm a merciful God. And then left. And that was it. He did all of that for this show. That's a 300 reference, everyone.
I get it. I'm not happy about the whole thing. So, we're not doing the main story today.
Why not, Ollie?
We're doing a side quest because we got no Dean. We're doing a side quest. A side quest set in the City of Northenden. I think I'm not even gonna ask. I'm not even gonna ask if you want to do any more small talking because we've done enough small talking. I'm not even gonna acknowledge the subs flinging at me because it's just these jokers. I don't care. I don't give a care.
I'll just thumbs up then.
So, where this story begins, and probably will end, we'll see, is in the City of Northenden. If you remember, Northenden is also known as the Free City, and the party was there on their way to Lichvale. It is a city of all races. It is a bit of a melting pot. It's mostly humans and dwarves. That's like sort of the set, this foundation. But then there's little districts of every other race, more or less, that has a civilization in some way. Scott's got cookies. He's out. He's not going to get the explanation to the stream. And then it'll keep asking questions as I explained. And it's going to be annoying.
Scott is getting cookies.
I can respect that, though.
Yeah.
So, where this begins, it's actually the middle of summer. So, Northenden is usually a very cold place. Just because of the way...
months in the past.
No, actually, you guys are still in summer. You're about just leaving it. So it's a little bit in the past, but not much enough to really affect anything. Where Northenden is usually pretty cold. It's actually a bit of a heat wave in Northenden at the moment, which is strange. There's like a couple of weeks in the middle of the year where people are like, okay, Northenden's getting summer. And they're pretty happy about it. It's cold the rest of the time, but it's like hotter than normal. And people, either happy about it or really upset about it. I'd be upset about it. I don't like the hot heat times. Not a fan. But, as with most side quests, you have been summoned. You have been requested for your services. Whether or not you were in Northenden, or you're passing through, or you've come here specially, doesn't really matter. You actually have been invited to a place in the Tiefling district of the city, which is more often called the Bastillion district of the city. It's just because they kind of don't want to acknowledge that Tieflings are Tieflings a lot of the time. It is one of the smaller districts of the city. It's actually up against the wall. It's actually up against the place where it's usually coldest as well. Because Bastillion is the Tiefling city in the middle of a frozen lake far, far to the north. And it's a little quieter than the rest of the city. It's a smaller district, but even the buildings are a little quieter. But at the same time, it's quieter and you maybe a little bit more crime, but it's also kind of the quality of buildings are quite high because Bastillion is actually a kind of rich city in the most. People who are going to move away from Bastillion, they're usually pretty rich. And it's definitely the kind of place where there's so little attention here. If you want to do something shady, it's a good place to do it. So, you've all been summoned to the Tiefling district, more importantly to a lounge. It's one of those places where it doesn't actually have a name. You've been given an address. You've been told that you will be let in. And one by one, or 2, 1, and 1, you are let into this place. So, the first people to arrive are Slade and Ellis, who are arriving together after the effects of the Bright Axe pit, where they were aged magically by seeing a ghost. They enter this lounge. It is a fairly large and open place. There's only one other person in this entire room, where it's got chairs and couches and things, and there's a bar at the back of the room. There's a sort of thing where there's lots of bottles and actually baskets of fresh fruit. And there's a dwarf there at the bar, but you can kind of tell there's maybe meant to be more people here, and it's just completely silent, and you're probably meant to just sit down and wait. If you've ever been to any of these meets before, which Slade definitely has. Slade and Ellis walk in to a bar.
Slade and Ellis walk into a bar.
Ellis doesn't because she's so short.
Dwarven bartender, huh? I don't know about that. I mean, bartenders usually supposed to have personality. They're supposed to want to listen. Dwarves just kind of like stare off blankly into space and don't really pay attention to anything you're saying. Snaps in front of her. Yeah, great impression.
You look at the bartender, he's staring off into space, not paying attention to anything.
Yeah, well, if he serves us some damn alcohol, I've no complaints. Oh, well, do you think he's up?
I mean, I'm sure they've got alcohol here, but I do have to say, nothing too strong. I still haven't gotten used to this ancient liver that I've got.
So if you want to remember correctly, what are your ages right now, Slade and Ellis?
82?
Body-wise.
40-something? Early 40s.
Yeah. Slade is definitely suffering a little more, but he's a half-elf by blood, so he's, he can handle it.
Ellis is probably a little bit achy, but other than that, she's probably more or less fine.
Hearing you say that as you kind of walk over, the bartender does pipe up a little bit, and he runs his hand through his, it's a very glossy beard. He's like, I can serve you stuff, but you don't have a tab. You have to pay.
You gonna wash those? You just ran your fingers through your
follows
beard.
your eyes to his hands. He's like, why?
Ignore him. He's too caught up in this. Just give me
Listen, I have an old man's immune system. I could die from a cold.
We don't have any shit beer here. It's all the finest ales.
I love it if he'd done that, washed his hands and then dried it on his beard, and then just looked you in the eye and said, done.
Well, fine. What's the damn cheapest you've got, then? It's probably the opposite of what you normally get asked, but...
True. And brings up, a couple, he assumes you wanted bottles of beer, and 2 bottles is, 4 silver apiece.
4 fucking silver. Slides them across.
This isn't a cheap place.
Wait a second. Is there a senior discount?
You older than most elves.
I'm not an elf. Why would you insult me like that?
Exactly.
I'm confused. I think you're confused.
And he kind of like pushes both the beers forward. They have a very fancy sort of label on them with some. It's the kind of thing where it's clearly a fancy place because they could afford a printing press to print the labels. That's how fancy the beer is. And if Ellis drinks it, it's like, it's fine.
Yeah, she sort of eyes the brand. And
Ellis definitely doesn't recognize the brand. Definitely doesn't care about the. It doesn't taste if it's expensive. It's just beer. Yeah. Bottled beer is different to beer in a keg and stuff like that. Noticeably, yes. And you don't remember the last time you've had a bottled beer, but I don't think you cared so much. So I imagine you go and sit down, just anywhere.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So I will look to the bottle as I'm walking over there with her and be like, well, at least his hands weren't really on this.
Well, yeah, unless he's been sticking them in there before he got here.
I'm gonna look at the bottle now, and then look at her, and then look at the bottle like grossed out, like.
Well, if you're not gonna have it, I'll have it, fingers.
Hand it to her.
I've drunk in far worse places than this. Don't want to know where some.
I imagine Ellis sits down and puts her feet on the table.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I have as well, but again, I just don't trust my immune system anymore. I think I'm gonna get sick off of everything.
Oh come on! You've got half your damn life left to live, even at the extended
and the other
age,
half of it's gone, like that.
Yeah, I've lost half
you
my
have no
damn
problem
life.
being
You've got to live a
crotchety
little
old lady.
thing.
No,
So
I
those
don't
two
know,
start
you
having a
listen to
loud argument. While they're arguing, Erin, describe who walks in.
All right. So you see a medium height elf. The fair copper skin of wood elves, very clear. She has short crop blonde hair. She is wearing a tunic, almost like a uniform type clothing with chain shirt, obviously underneath. She has a very large glaive strapped to her back, along with a longbow, and several other things, like a couple nets to her side as well.
She's got a bunch of weapons.
Oh, 2 weapons on her.
She probably jangles when she walks. Is
Probably.
the explanation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you walk in and you see two fairly old people having a heated argument, and a dwarf bartender who's just kind of looking out into space. he's like peeling apples right now.
I'll go up and I'll order a drink.
What kind of thing do you want? Do you just get the cheapest thing, or do you just that one?
So what do you recommend?
Good question. Whiskey from the Crimson Mountain, the mountain home, the finest drink you can get.
You just hear Ellis snort. Of course, the damn Stone Shagger would recommend something from Crimson Mountain.
Wow. He clearly hears that, and because you're looking at him, Adri, you see him be like, unless that's not to your taste.
Would you like to drink with me? And she'll say to the person who's obviously insulting.
Wow. You get me a drink, I'll damn drink with you until the night ends.
It would be early afternoon when this meeting is, by the way.
Yeah,
just to decide. I was gonna be like, how early is it when you declare this? But no.
Don't drink night fears too often, but well, good fun.
So I was ordered 2.
Cool. It's the sort of thing where you get shots, probably.
Yeah, but like a shot glass.
Mm-hmm.
I'll bring it over to them.
Ellis immediately downs it and then just eyes the longbow and says, "Archer?"
Of sorts.
I dabble.
I dabble. I dabble in many weapons.
Curious. You put magic into your shots? Or are you just a regular?
No, regular.
You don't have to brag to everybody that you come across. I mean, it's
I'm
really
not
off-putting when you
bragging.
Listen, when you literally every person has a bow. Oh, do you put magic in your bow too?
Screw you.
Do you enchant your arrows, or is it more of a casting?
The reason I ask, it's I had a rather eccentric knife-ear teacher. I don't know much about the art, to be honest. I think it's like a wood elven guard thing. I've been a bit curious, but I've not been able to find many people who can do it, you see? So,
Would I be familiar with this art? Ollie?
Give me an Arcana check.
Or this practice?
You'd be familiar with the racist term that he just used.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know it. It's not even like an Elvish guard thing. It's like a very old technique that all elves know how to like fold their natural magic if they learn how to do it. This is often used in the guard. Walls in the cities will have archers that can do this usually.
Pretty familiar with that particular technique. I'm not a practitioner myself, but
Fair enough. Know anything about work? Alright. No matter. If you're not a practitioner, I don't think I can get anything. Don't imagine I can get much useful unless you know the history of it. But I'd have thought. Well, we've seen that we've got time. I don't know what the hell we've been called here before, but if we can have a chat about it over drinks if you want.
of course.
And when you start having
Two
a
more.
conversation, when you come back with those drinks, Neil, who walks into the room?
So he's a young human, sort of maybe mid to late 20s, walks around the corner. He's got like this strawberry blonde hair, little bit of ginger scruff,
Definitely not the
hazel
token
eyes. He's middling height for a human. He's sort of average. His clothes are well made, but it's not particularly armor. If you had to put a name to it, you'd say he's got some padding around.
He's got like a gambeson under whatever
Yeah,
fancy stuff
it's
he's
nothing fancy, nothing like that. He's got a short sword by his hip, strip of cloth by his other side, which to anyone that might know is a sling, but that's all they are basically, long strip of cloth. He's got a backpack on and a couple of pouches around, and he sort of walks in with his backpack on, whistling, and he has a look around and he spies all you guys. So looks at the bartender.
I bet he
Probably
comes and sits with us. As
And
soon as he
he
says there, I
Ellis
bet he
walks
sits with
very
us.
loudly, probably.
Yeah.
And it's-
Walks over to the bartender and says,
Watch, two silver. He's gonna sit with us. 2 silver.
"You got any more of those
I'm
apples?"
not taking that damn bet.
Come
That's the voice
on.
you're going with. Okay.
Oh, fucking
He
fine.
nods and literally like just throws you one over his shoulder.
Catch it, and then he'll turn around and have a look at all the empty seats, and then go
Ellis
walk
glares
over,
at him, trying to
walk
drive him
over,
away.
walk over, and he doesn't sit down. He takes a bite out the apple. Ross Stinham, pleased to meet you.
I really
All
need
right.
to start
What
asking
the
Neil
hell?
about accents
Randy
before
Pretty
he
boy?
plays a character.
It's not Irish. It's Watcher's Isle. You're gonna have to do it now.
He goes,
Sure, you can. We're gonna have words.
I have a question. Not that I mind. Why did you walk over to us?
I'm here to do a job, and you guys look like my bodyguards.
This Ellis looks at the wood elf and goes, "What? You're here to do a job as well?
Yeah, of course.
Yes.
What regards for this freaking pretty boy?"
Well,
What?
exactly for that reason. I'm wearing a short sword, and that's it. And you guys have got about 3 weapons apiece.
Fair, I suppose. Why the heck? You got details of a job then?
No clue.
If we got what the? So do you mean you're the employer or not? Or are you just?
No,
being-
it was an assumption. You daft cunt.
It's gonna take a while for him
Fuck
to get
you,
used to
pretty
it.
boy.
So we're supposed to guard you doing a job that you don't know, and we're getting paid.
Jesus, I just said it was an assumption. I
Okay.
don't know what the job is.
You're getting paid handsomely.
Do you
a
mean-
female voice sort of
Why do you
interrupts,
assume we're your guard and that you're not my
Do
guard?
you
I mean,
mean
I am
you
an
think
old
I'm
man.
and they
Same
start
as us.
arguing.
He's just
You know?
a child. Leave him be.
Well, he is a child. That's certainly true.
While you're arguing, like a woman walks up beside a lot of you. She's a tiefling. She has a purple skin. Her hair is messy, but not like unkept messy, almost like stylish messy. And up her horns are a bunch of vines and even flowers actually spread off into her hair. Her clothes are very comfortable. They're not armor. They're not noble wear. They're not even like practical wear. They're like the fancy equivalent of
She's
pajamas.
wearing a onesie.
It's kind of a onesie. It's very comfortable sort of clothing, and she kind of like walks up until your argument like sort of slows down. Because I imagine
I will spring to my feet and give a bow.
Oh, well.
I use
knows how to-
prestidigitation to make a fart noise over him when he does facts.
Well, at least the casting is obvious, right? There's a somatic component, so it's obvious. So I
He
bow.
uses
There's a fart noise, and then I say, "My lady, welcome," and I do apologize for the childish nature of those around us.
It's
And it's
funny
smart.
because Ian was talking about how, I have predestination now, it's so worth it, and that's the first thing he does.
I like to imagine the
Prestidigitation.
somatic component
I'm
of
never
that
gonna-
spell was just. That was it. Yeah, that
I
was
probably
magic.
forget I even have the damn spell. I want to use it at least once.
Well, there we
she
go.
actually
Quote-unquote.
is laughing at the whole thing. It's like, no, you don't have to apologize for being childish. No, being childish is the exact reason why you're here, right? You want to live like a child again, aside from your trappings, and the rest of you just want money, which is good. I do appreciate money. I'm not the finest purveyor of money. I'd rather take a gemstone over some coins, but that I have money for a lot of you, but not yet, of course. Sit
My
down,
lady,
sit down.
you see, I am known for having the most incredible of stamina. And while that's only waned ever so slightly, I would certainly like to have my edge back.
Only ever so slightly, but you couldn't have had much before.
And he looks back at her and says, "Not that you'd ever know."
I know you never gave me a chance, did you?
I have standards. Like, they're low sometimes, but you couldn't make that bar.
She actually kicks him in the shin at the height joke. Or she goes to kick him in the shin.
I will bite my lower lip, and because he's not gonna. I get son of the. No, he takes the kick to the shin, and he bites his lower lip and forces a smile.
Well, I imagine that a lot of you want to know your job before you all become the fastest of friends working for me. Yeah? And she walks around. There's not a head of a table, but she motions with her hand, and one of the chairs just goes, and she sort of stands there as if she's the head of the table.
Okay. Yeah, she stands there. I will gladly take my seat back down. I will sit down, and it'll be one of those sits where, because we're already near each other, where I sit very uncomfortably close to Arvine's character, and then even drape my arm over her shoulder, it's super uncomfortable. Hey, buddy, that was a funny joke.
Alice just sort of smirks at him and doesn't move to push him away or anything. Just sort of leans back. He's like,
Well, you all have skills, and well, in my opinion, everyone has a skill. And sometimes just a glorious passion can be a skill. Yes, that's something that's very important to remember, especially. But I want you, and it's a very simple job, and you'll be paid handsomely, to kill a man, to kill a gnome, to be specific. Now, if you're against murder, which I don't think you are, but if you are, and you have a very sensitive soul, and I understand, just bring him to me alive, and I'll dispose of the body perfectly fine.
I mean, some people just can't understand how I could just kill a man, but that doesn't change the fact that we have to know why.
Oh, no, no, I'm going to explain it to you. I'm going to explain everything. You just need to relax. Okay, so but this man, would you have your papers out, notes? His name is Faldan Karazit. He's a gnome, forest gnome, in fact. So he'll stand out here. There's not many forest gnomes in this city. He's actually, you know Nomatol? It's a beautiful place. I've been there a little bit, but only in passing. Fortunately, my duty's not really in that sort of place, but, I travel. He was actually exiled from Nomatol, and that makes sense, but because of that, now he's here, and I can't have him here. I actually have no real reason to care about this city. I'm going to be entirely honest with you. You could blow up half the place killing this man. As long as you kill him, I don't care. But I won't help you with the guards. No, I don't have that sort of sway here. But in the Elven lands, maybe we could talk a thing or two. But he's an assassin, a killer of men. And before I understand the delicious irony that I'm hiring hitmen to kill a hitman, I know it's great. I really enjoy it. So Faldan Karazit, that's his name. He travels all over the city. He uses carriages quite often. That might be important. I know that he I mean, he's a gnome. Short little legs. Didn't want to say it. Do have short little legs. So he takes carriages around the city. And with the paychecks he's getting, being a follower of the serpent, he can pay for it. So that might be a good lead. But I don't really know where he is, and I don't really care how you do it. With your sort of skill sets, you could find his place of where he gets his jobs. You could actually hire him and then betray him, or you could sneak into his home. He's not been here that long. He's been here less than a year. I imagine he doesn't have a home here. He's not the sort of person that likes to settle. So, are you taking all this down?
When she asks that and pauses for a second, I go, well, it was a pleasure meeting you. Thank you for your time. Bye. And I walk away.
How far do you get before anyone stops him, or does no one stop? Because if you just walk, she's just silent and just watches you.
Ellis will sort of watch him, but won't make any move to stop him, and then just turns to him and says, "Assassination ain't really my thing. I'm used to killing."
Yeah, but here's the thing. You want to be back in your original body, right?
Damn straight I do. You've got leads or a method?
I got a method, baby.
You've got a method?
Oh, yes.
Fuck it, I'm in.
Did you hear that, Mr. Rosewater? I can kill you.
Yeah, murder. Understand. I open the front door. Guards! And start, like, walking out into the street. Call them guards.
Oh. Well, there's a new quarry on this. You're gonna have to kill that guy.
Guards!
That one.
Yeah, before he gets too far.
Hang on. You said you had to sway in the Elven lands.
Yes.
Why is that? You're a tiefling.
Does it matter right now?
Well, I'm certainly
I
not going to be
have
chasing
some
after
very
him to kill
detailed
him.
stories to tell you when you've done this job for me.
If Fingers is going to run off like that, then...
Then we're not going to have a chance to talk. No.
You, Knife Ears, can you track him? Get him? Well, we can go...
He's not
Are you
very
up for
far. I
this?
can still see him, honestly.
You up for this? Because I don't know if I can take him down easily alone. I'm not sure I want to, but if he's going to hand us over to the guards, I've got no choice.
I
Yeah.
can stop him.
Let's
And
get
I'm gonna walk out the door.
I'll follow behind
I'm
him.
gonna point a finger, and I'm gonna cast message.
Sure.
The others are coming for you. You better get a move on, mate.
Message has a reply, and I go, yeah, I gotta see if this is a setup. I don't trust her. Guards! I need to speak to you. Where are the guards when you need
it
them?
honestly
Ross
takes a little
Ross
while.
Is gonna, he has some form of enchantment. Oh, that
Oh,
stang!
It takes
So
a
what,
little
you
while
can't stop him?
because of the...
Oh no, we're going to have to catch him.
Fucking hell. Ellis starts off at a run.
You can
That's
bring this
fine,
one
I'm
to me
faster.
alive.
And I can throw a net on him.
Yeah.
Sure.
It takes a little while for guards to come because you're in this part of the city and there's not a whole lot of guards. The guard that eventually does come by is actually a tiefling, a blue-skinned one,
Sure.
who's just sort of like, what's wrong, sir? What is the problem?
There's like some really shady looking woman. Oh, I don't want you to misunderstand why I think that. Could you just like come with me and identify her and see if she's like a known criminal or maybe a part of the guards?
Why, sir? Are you trying to tell me that you're in trouble with someone? Is someone blackmailing you?
Yeah, let's just say that things kind of went a little sideways, and I just don't want to get myself mixing up with the wrong kind of riffraff. So, like, if you could identify her and if she's, like, a guard or something, I'd feel so much better. But if she, like, a guard in disguise, you know? But if she's, like, you know, some sort of riffraff, I want to make sure I avoid that. I'm new to this area, and I'm kind of in a bit of a pickle. That's like a cucumber that you put inside brine.
I'm aware what a pickle is, sir.
Okay, yeah. So I haven't seen one here. So I just want to make sure that you know that I'm not trying to do anything wrong. Can you just check out this woman for me? She's at this dwarven bar up the way.
Show me a dwarven bar out here. I haven't seen it before.
Yeah, come this way. And I'm actually gonna like completely. I'm trying to be as non-suspicious as possible, but not like going out of my way to be non-suspicious. I'm just
So,
seem relaxed.
Adri, you sense him walking back. Actually, Ross can see him walking back.
Oh,
With the guard.
here he comes. He's coming back. Nothing to worry about.
Alice just gives him a sidelong glance, but then it sort of just stares at Slade.
Eventually, you get back, and do you like actually go into the bar?
With the guard, yeah.
With the guard, yeah. He follows behind you and kind of looks around, and it's an almost empty bar. And the tiefling woman hasn't actually like moved from the spot, and she's just kind of like.
Do you
It's
know
actually
her?
the only time you've noticed her not smiling. She's just like.
Can I follow in?
You would still be there.
Mhm.
You'd walk.
Oh, I
back
mean,
in.
because I was outside.
Oh yeah, you walk
Yeah.
back in. That's no problem.
Do you know her?
He kind of gives you a look, and then looks at her. An unknown criminal in the area, if that's what you're asking. What's going on here?
She's a known criminal.
She's not. No. Why? What are you?
No, she's not a member of the guard or anything.
No, she would be wearing uniform.
Listen, sometimes guards aren't in uniform, but they're still guards. You know what I mean? I just want to make sure, like, you know, I'm trying not to do anything wrong here.
And wasting police time isn't a problem.
If that's what I was doing, then I'm so sorry
No,
about it.
no,
Can I?
no. If you genuinely, what did she do to you? And
She spoke out of sorts, and it just kind of got me a little fun. I'm just not from the traditions. She probably was just being kind in the culture of these lands, and I'm not accustomed to. You know, can I make a donation to you and your? Can I just give you a couple silver to say I'm sorry?
Are you
Not a
trying
bribe.
to bribe
Just-
an official?
No. I haven't done anything wrong, so I'm not trying to bribe. I'm just trying to say sorry.
He kind of like
Can I buy you a
shifts on
beer?
his feet a bit. He shakes his head, and actually he straight up hands you a whistle. Like it's a really crappy, like it's rusty. If you do get in any trouble, sir. And then goes to walk out. But he does look back in, like, clearly very suspicious on the whole thing. Because this is shady. This is shady. There's no denying it's shady. He knows it's shady, but also he's one guard against a room of lots of people, and he's not.
Once he's gone, Ellis immediately goes over to Slade, puts her hand on his shoulder, probably has to reach up, like a tighter grip than is necessary, and just be like, care to explain what the fuck that was about?
Absolutely. I thought she was a setup. I honestly thought we were all about to go to prison for doing nothing but agreeing to do something. I'm good. I'm in. Let's go.
You do realize the affairs that you're going to be a part of are far beyond anything that can be confined by steel bars.
Listen, I'm just making sure that you're not going to be locking me up. I've already had a bad run-in with people locking me up for doing nothing wrong whatsoever.
I'm much more into freeing people from cages than locking them up.
Yeah,
But
last
if you
time that
try
happened, I
shit
aged like 50 years. So
If you try that shit again, you'll find yourself without a mind. I'll find some use for your body, even if it is withered.
well, with that, he actually like, well, come over and sit down.
She kind of just like glares at you. Like, well,
We
should
have
be
the
off then.
details, fingers.
you have the details. Oh,
Yes.
and these, and she hooks into like a pocket and puts out two red potions. They both have an X on the label and nothing else. It's like, if you get into serious trouble.
Right.
Now go and
doesn't
kill that
sound
gnome
like
for
so.
me.
If you don't mind, can we make a plan?
Oh, feel free. I won't be here for much longer, but I'll be back here when you need me.
Bye.
Great, thank you.
And she walks
We-
out while kind of watching you all, and then just walks away into the back of the bar.
Okay. I'm going to bust out parchment and start trying to draw the best picture of her face I can with my calligraphy kit and disguise kit.
Give me a performance roll.
Sure. Oop, don't click proficiency. Just click the roll, Scott. I Eric it.
You actually draw.
I mean, I was considering giving you the help action there anyway, so no, the flowers go there.
She's very unique. You know for a fact, Slade, that just because of her appearance, that guard is probably going to tell other guards that this happened, and her appearance is so unique that this is going to be talked about. So, but you can easily draw her.
Almost like she's the lover.
You cut out, but
Yeah,
yes, this is the same woman. Not that any of you know her, but this is the same woman that was in Fafnir.
I knew we should have killed her then.
well, we tried, did succeed.
Well, we had some technical difficulties. About
In the shape of a dwarf, yeah. But no, while Ross is while Slade is drawing this, Ellis will just sit down. And, well, to make a plan, first thing we need to know each other's strengths and weaknesses, abilities. Know what we've got on the table, you know.
I know how to get out of trouble.
Yeah, great, useful fingers. I'm good with a bow, can shoot things. I'm not great at like tracking, finding people, anything like that. You point me in the right direction, I can do stuff.
My name is Adri. I am a hunter.
Hi, Adri.
Hi, Adri.
Oh yeah, I never gave my name, did I? I'm Ellis. Ellis.
I mostly hunt people.
You hunt
And
people?
we need information on this guy. I'm gonna go talk to some people I know here. Try to see if I can figure out who this is and what he does, and perhaps we can meet at a tavern later to discuss what I found.
I mean, we know what he does. He's an assassin.
What he does with the caravans, what he does around town, I highly doubt he's murdering people around the city.
I would imagine he is. But I don't really know much about these sorts of things, so you're the bounty hunter. Go right ahead.
You find that? We can meet back up at. I'll name a tavern in the area that I know of that uses mercenaries. That's frequented by mercenaries. Not about.
The terrific tone.
Meet me at that. Meet me at this tavern, and I'll be there. I'll try and ask some of my colleagues about that.
I mean, good.
Why don't you go find this room at the tavern? She says like the small child, human,
To who?
eating an apple.
Oh,
To
him, yeah,
Ross.
gotcha.
Ross is the actual child in her mentality.
Why don't you go find this room at the tavern?
Find his room. Or the room.
Yes, a room. While we're doing all that.
Well,
Why don't you
alright
go?
then.
Is that good? Should I pat him on the head?
He actually says to Slade actually says to her, he's like, as he's like finishing up his sketch or whatever, he's like, I'll join you. I'm actually pretty good at figuring things out myself.
Cool. So that's how it goes. Is Slade and Adri are gonna talk to the rough folk. Ellis is gonna talk to the rough folk
Oh, the
with
rough
swords. And Ross is going to probably go to the tavern, order a room, and drink. We'll see. We'll go back to him at the end. So we'll start off with Adri and Slade. I imagine you hop through a lot of districts, but you're probably mostly interested in elves and gnomes because you know them slightly more. Let me read your doodly-doo. I'm trying to get it on camera. Ear to the ground! You are frequent contact. A contact in any city you meet. Great. Great. Okay. So it's one of those things where you know that this person's in the city, but Slade actually is kind of leading you around because he knows cities. So one moment, please. So you actually meet up with another half-elf. You meet up with them somewhere in the Elven districts. You probably meet up in a park, as many of them are, and it's sort of starting to get dark, but not dark yet. It's gloomy. His name is Dapvir. He is, a spy by trade, but he's actually a spy for the city. He is not really available to hire, aside from friends, little contact. So he literally, you find him as he usually is. He's sort of playing as a bard. He's essentially a College of Whispers bard, right? He plays at being the bard. He looks like a bard, but you know for a fact that he has got a bunch of poisons hidden around on his body that he will slap on anyone. But his passion is finding out about people. So you go up and meet him.
Mm-hmm. And this is my contact in the city, so I imagine like I kind of know him.
You
so
know him fairly well, yeah.
Fairly well. So I'll just go up and I'll give him a nod. What's his name?
Dapvir.
Dapvir. Dapvir. Pleasure to see you.
What do you need, Adri?
I heard that there was a gnomish assassin in Northrend. Would you happen to know anything about that? I'll give him the
Lich
name.
King might.
No, we can't give Erin shade for calling Northenden Northrend because
No.
that's
Is it
happened
Northrend?
so many times.
Oh,
So
Northrend?
one of the people in my Thursday game is a massive WoW addict, and it's always been Northrend. Gnomish assassin. That is fairly strange. They usually pay other people to do the dirty work for them, or they make something. There was some communications recently about a gnomish bomb maker in the city that was essentially being an assassin, but he would set up his bombs. He has already been arrested by the authorities.
I give him the exact name that we were given.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of watch to see if like that look that
He
triggers something.
definitely, he nods, like he knows the name. I have heard of this individual. He is one of the Fey folk. I don't quite understand their affairs, but he doesn't appear to be typical assassin sort. The kind of person that I could hire to get something done if I needed it. I haven't, but I have heard rumors of how to contact him. Apparently, his day job is at one of the dwarven libraries, and there's some sort of code.
What is
enrolled
his
in
day
the
job?
books. It's at a dwarven library. There's a code in the books. I don't know the specifics. I could find out, but it would take a lot of time away from my proper work.
Well, we'll see what we can gather, but thank you. I appreciate the offer.
Let me know if you catch him. That'll definitely be something that I need to know.
Is there only one library in the city?
No.
There's one dwarven
which
library.
Do you know which dwarven library?
What about stories? This is one about stories. Something poetic about that, apparently. Can't really tell you much more than that. Sorry, friend.
And is there anybody else that understands that this code? Somebody that you might know? Because your time is, of course, valuable. We don't want to waste any more of it.
You find anyone who wants people dead but doesn't want the blood on their hands in this city, they will probably know the code. Or know someone that knows the code for them.
Oh, that's funny. We should just go back to the employer and see if she knows the code.
I was gonna say. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And he goes back to playing his mandolin. So, while that's going on, actually, Ellis and Ross, I imagine you walk together because you're kind of planning on meeting people in that tavern. Terrific Toad Tavern, lovely place in the Human District, but it's where a lot of adventurers hang out and travelers and people who go to live the Northenden dream of being an adventurer. So all sorts of races and creeds, blah blah blah. Even though it's in the smack bam middle of the Human District. What do you do, Ellis? Let me read your thing. It makes sense because the scrolling is pretty slow, so I want to have that sort of creaking. Identify mercenary companies and their emblems. Okay, so you can find mercenaries in Navarre. That's not an issue at all. It's sort of one of those things where, yeah, you absolutely do find mercenaries here. They're of course they are.
Yeah,
but actual
so
mercenary companies, like there's not like a mercenary company in there, but you can find the odd jobs, if you know what I mean. The odd, the handymen.
she would basically be going up to them, not particularly subtly. She might actually like buy them a drink and have a drink herself as well, and then just be like, and then after maybe, she would be quite blunt. She'd be like, "My name's Ellis Greyharbour. You might have heard of me. You might have heard of my nickname better, the Tripwire. But I'm with the Red Eagle Company. You got any information on this guy?" Sort of give the name and description. Gnomish dude.
Mm-hmm. This is a human woman. You can just immediately tell from her garb that she is some sort of cleric or priestess. But you don't recognize the symbols or anything like that at a glance. She kind of nods. It's like, "No, I know the Red Eagle Company. You do mostly reputable work." I've heard of him. Not the sort of person that's too high end for a place like this, you know?
Yeah, quite. Well, I've got a rather unusual job. Got caught up in a bit of trouble a couple of months back. Need to get put in a favour for something. So, you know how it is.
Yes,
if you've got any
always.
leads on him, I'd appreciate them. If not, if you can point me in the direction of someone who might.
She sort of thinks for a bit. There was an assassination recently. In fact, one of the mercenary captains nearby, of the Green Pines, their captain was assassinated, and I think by this gentleman. From what you described, it's sort of poisony magic. Does that ring a bell?
That sounds about right. He's supposed to be a follower of the Fae, Serpent Court.
That sounds gibberish, but fitting gibberish, to say the least.
Yeah. This fancy, this pretty boy bloody knows more about that stuff than I do. But yeah, that doesn't sound too right.
I'd rather, listen to gods that actually hear us. And she clanks her breastplate.
Ellis snorts at that and sort of rolls her eyes, but doesn't actually offer any comment. It's like, "Well, thanks. I know the Green Pines. Yeah, I'll have to see if I can find any of their number, see if they have any more detailed information. But thanks for your time." And she would have like her own half-finished drink. She'd push it across as well, and then get up and sort of.
That seems like a fair payment for between mercenaries, right?
Yeah.
We're gonna help you because you might help me in the future, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
All good. And then eventually, Slade and Adri do meet back up at the tavern, probably a couple of hours later because they have to travel and have been traveling all this time, all that sort of thing. Unless you wanted to do more stuff, but it is basically evening now.
Ross would simply inquire that Ellis has worked with Slade before.
Yeah, well, you could say that's how we got into this entire mess. We were, worked is probably a strong term. We wound up in a prison cell somewhere, Dwarven Lands, I think. Can't really remember. Had to fight a bit in a pit. Something went wrong in the city. I've no idea what. A ghost attacked us. We got magically aged. I'm 20 years younger than I look. It's bloody awful.
Right. Sure you are.
Fuck you, pretty boy. But yeah, it's not so much work together as
I'm really not that much of a pretty boy. You're just an ugly fuck.
Screw you.
She says with a smile. I get Ellis. All right, we'll leave it there. You know when you plan a thing and the PCs are like, nah, fuck you. I was half expecting to twist this entire thing around to your just hunting embrace, and I wouldn't have an issue if you wanted to do that.
I really wanted it to go that way.
Hey, still 3 more
You
hours
should
left.
have backed it up then, instead of. You should have helped me.
Still 3 more hours
I
left.
did.
We'll see you
I
in
backed
5
you
minutes.
up in a way that wouldn't get me stabbed.
I'll stab you.